Hey, hello once again. This is John Miller with Hometown Historian. I'm in my upstairs right now, my game room, comics room, a few other things. Uh, so I wanted to make another vlog. I had left a quick message on YouTube. So I was hoping to get out filming this weekend, but with all the rain, I just still have this issue with the cough a little bit. I'm hoping this week to get to the doctor to get an inhaler just to sort of open my lungs up a little bit. I think it's probably going to take me a little while to get whatever this gunk is that's in my lungs right now from all that mowing. It's like, because it's like any time that I do mowing, which today we did some mowing again because we couldn't mow on Friday. And with the leaves and stuff like that, it just agitates everything. It stirs it up. So a little hard to breathe sometimes, but feet are doing reasonably well. The right foot's almost completely healed. Left foot, which is what had the amputation, it's on and off. Like it's right now it's a little funky, but anyways, uh, I wanted to give, even though this is just a vlog and it's not a mail time, I did forget to give one shout out. Linda had contacted me and had asked about uh, me getting a phone battery, like an external charger, and she had sent me an Amazon card. I had downloaded that on my Amazon account, but I completely forgot about it with getting sick and just having all the other issues, and I never ordered it. So I am gonna order that, Linda. I do once again I very much appreciate you sending me that card. Uh, that's really gonna help because right now I'll probably be filming with the phone just for a little bit longer. Still working on uh, trying to get the other camera going. I have to put the SD card in and then make sure the main thing is making sure that it's receiving the audio like it's supposed to, and and after that we'll be good to go with that one. So I wanted to give you guys some ideas on what's upcoming. Um, Also, I wanted to explain the one series a little bit more. New series that I'll be looking at doing, and also another series. I had some viewers who had contacted me about potentially doing something, and that's going to be a series I'm going to do as well. I do want to have as much of my filming, my videos to be live filming, but as I get better and better with sort of the documentary style where I can do audio over pictures and things of that nature, I excuse me, I do want to try to do some of that stuff. And that was one of the ideas, was to do these historical stories. Uh, I know one thing, I want to do a series in World War I, World War II, and sort of talk about some of the stories that are just not real well known. And even like in the Civil War, there is an African American who had been a slave. He had escaped. He actually stole a Confederate ship, acted as though he was the captain, and then as he went up the coast, he actually rescued other slaves and got to the north, and he got like all kinds of commendations. It's like it was a really cool story. So I'd like to go a little more in depth with some of those things. One of the things I'm going to be doing, I'm hoping over the next week or so. I'm a little late on the haunting type stuff, but I do want to do some haunted videos. Reason being is the last 2 weeks when I wanted to originally do that, I wasn't able to just because of where my health was. But there are a bunch of really cool, sort of unique stories. They're going to be shorter videos, but some pretty neat stories I think you'll all enjoy. I also am going to be doing, I'm hoping this week or by this weekend, be doing a video on the legacy of Milton Hershey. Hershey's right near me. I worked at the Hershey Company for 12 years, so I experienced working in that main Hershey chocolate factory. Mainly, I worked in the offices and then around the corporation, the local different buildings, because they had buildings like a marketing building, a merchandising building, a tech center where they did their quality assurance and quality testing and things of that nature. Then the corporate center, their data center, where they handled all their information services. So I would go around, handle different aspects of training and streamlining facilities and things of that nature. So that was something I really enjoyed, and so I got to experience the Hershey Company firsthand for 12 years, and got to see quite a bit of what Mr. Hershey's legacy was. So that's a video that I'd like to do, and that'll be part live, and it'll be A part of it as well will be the audio and pictures, because I'd like to get as close as I can to the mansion, but it's sort of hard because it is private property. It's where the Hershey Trust, who oversees Milton Hershey School's stake in the company, so you can't go up against the building. I mean, I could probably ask permission, but I'll probably use some pictures. There is an area where you can film from below, where the old factory. There's a creek that goes behind it and a golf course, and you can maybe get some filming there. So I'd like to try to do that. I'd like to film where the old factory used to be, on the east side of where the factory used to stand, because that's right where they have the Hershey cocoa bushes, and you also can get a really nice shot of the Hershey smokestacks that still are there. I had taken some pictures for Instagram and stuff like that. It's pretty neat little area. Talk about the factory a little bit, the uniqueness of it, things of that nature. But that's some of the ideas there that I have coming up there. I want to do a couple more of the historical markers. I'm going to concentrate on Indiantown Gap, military reservation sign, Fort Swatara, Fort Manada, and Swatara Gap. And there's a couple other ones in there. I'd like to get to Pine Grove if I can, to do the one on Conrad Richter. He was a writer of sort of the frontier books and stuff like that. He actually had a couple books made into movies and stuff like that. He's a pretty neat guy, but that's over in Pine Grove. So there's a Top Hawk and Path one as well, and a few other ones. Uh, Cliff and I were talking about going out either Friday or Monday, going down to Gettysburg. It looks like Friday I'm going to be winding out, having to be busy. So I'm hoping Monday, and if he goes down in Gettysburg anyways on Friday, I'm going to see if Monday he's potentially interested to go down to Lancaster to visit James Buchanan, our 15th president's home. And there's also a cemetery down there in Lancaster that is where James Buchanan is buried. I'd also like to visit, I believe his name is Henry Augustus Muhlenberg, which we talked about him a little bit in Schaeferstown there at St. Luke's Lutheran Church. It had a marker, a historical marker, but it's not a Pennsylvania historical marker. But his dad, Henry Muhlenberg, had started a lot of these churches, like Salem Lutheran Church in Lebanon. He had worked hand in hand with John Casper Stover to start a lot of these different churches. And then his son wound up taking over a lot of these churches, including at St. Luke's. And he actually is the first Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives. I think he was the first and the fourth Speaker of the House. He's buried in that cemetery as well. There's also a bunch of other significant political figures there, like more local, but still significant nonetheless. Those we might not go check out as much, and more concentrate on James Buchanan and Henry Augustus Muhlenberg because of their significance on more of a national level. So that song is coming up. I talked a little bit here earlier in this video about the historical series that I want to do, this sort of documentary style. I'm going to try to get my friend Kurt to help me with that, because I want to try to make these as professional looking and as enjoyable as possible. Another series that I'm going to be starting, I'm hoping relatively soon, because it's a little bit smaller, shorter stories, but a couple ladies viewers had contacted me and asked me about, hey, the Pennsylvania Historical Marker series, are there ones out there about women? And there are some. I think there's one in Harrisburg. That's probably the only one that's relatively close. So what I'm going to actually do is a documentary style series of important women in history, probably like heroines of hometown history or something like that. The first one will actually be Lindley Murray's mother, who played a very important role, and if it was not for her and her role in something she did in New York City, our revolution could have very well ended. So, really intriguing story. They actually have a local chapter in New York City that is named after her, of the Daughters of the Revolution. So she's a really intriguing person. That will probably be the first one that I do. Um, so there's a bunch of stuff that we have upcoming. I want to do some more as my foot gets better, some more hiking videos and things of that nature at different little places that are really sort of cool and scenic areas. but are pretty flat and easy for me to do. I am going to be doing, which I'm going to give Cliff credit for this. When he did his gold mine video, because he had said he had seen mine and thought, hey, that'd be a cool video to do for my channel as well. He talked about Route 325, which is just as you get on the other side of Gold Mine Mountain, Route 325 goes to the left at that stop sign. It's actually a really, really neat area. A lot like Gold Mine, you sort of hit that last house, and then there's no civilization for 6 to 8 miles, if not longer. And it was actually a route Cliff and I had done a paint job in a little town called Dauphin, and we took that route just because it's such a cool scenic route. It's a very like a forest path almost, where you have the trees over top of the path or over the road, and it's a neat, really neat drive. And with the colors the way they are, that's something I want to try to do because I think we're going to be looking at potentially down near freezing. So when you hit that freezing temperature, the leaves have a tendency to change really quick and then they drop. And that's happening, I think, as early as Wednesday. So tomorrow's voting day. So I'm going to try to get out and get some short videos. I want to try to drop this then either tonight or tomorrow because I'm not really sure yet. I got to get over to my sister's because I'm still having problems with my internet. Something broke, and it's just a matter of trying to get that taken care of and fixed. So I used to be able to do that, like download them here in like no time. Cliff was actually somewhat envious of my time. Just like, oh, my video only takes me about 20 minutes for my videos to download. It was basically like a minute for a minute, so it was really, really good. I had good internet, and but that was song. It was funny, but so I'm hoping we have a bunch of different things that will be upcoming, and I'll get back to normal. I'm sort of not quite sure what my schedule is going to be yet because I might have some people that need my help yet, doing a couple different jobs. I have a few things of my own. A couple of them I'm not sure because they involve painting. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get around those because the temperature wasn't supposed to go down this low because you really shouldn't paint below like 45 degrees, and I don't like to paint below 50 if you're outside, if it's exterior, because it has a tendency to not allow the paint to settle, especially like it's not like the temperature doesn't stay at 50 all day, it goes down to 30. It'll have a tendency to make the paint bubble and that kind of stuff, and I used to do this all the time for my old business. So it is what it is, but a lot of things to look forward to. I think I covered everything. I was stupid and I didn't bring a list up. So sometimes I forget certain things, but I do have, there's a bunch of different things, like different little video series. I really wanted, there's a number of different things I want to try to do to make some really intriguing, cool, different videos. I also, on the channel, I have added a bunch of new playlists. So it's sort of more specific. I want to do something with like, as well on like the farm, family plot cemeteries, and then the larger cemeteries to do two separate playlists for that as well. And like I said, the heroines of hometown history, that's a series that will be coming up here shortly. I'd like to try to do these different series that keep the ideas coming. I also wanted to say the first viewer submitted video is going to be coming out as well, hopefully by this weekend. Colleen D was one that came up with the idea. She actually contacted me off of Instagram. She has an Instagram called Well Grounded Life, or The Well Grounded Life, which I will put that on that video in the comments, because the comments, sometimes things like that, it's easier to see those links and that type of stuff, because I have like links to all my things like Instagram, Facebook, and then the P.O. box and the email. So sometimes in the description of the video you don't always see that. It's also in the About channel for people to be able to have other ways of accessing the channel to be more involved. And then I'll explain a little bit more. Like, it's basically, her idea was that the Pennsylvania historical markers, it's over 2,700 across the state of Pennsylvania. And you may have something like that in your state or whatever. If you want to do something like that, I just need a little bit of information, and then I'll research the rest and use your pictures and then give you the credit for that and all that kind of stuff, and then do a video that way. But it does give viewers a chance to do things like that. Keep on submitting your ideas. Keep on giving advice. I think sometimes as well, like a lot of times I have a very, I don't want to say sarcastic sense of humor, it's more like a dry sense of humor. And like the stuff when people do make critical comments that are ignorant, I don't really take. There's only one I ever took sort of personally that really sort of ticked me off. And it was just how ignorantly it was put. The other ones I sort of laugh about because it is. I'm actually sort of surprised I haven't gotten hammered with that more because Cliff has gone through a lot. Now he has obviously way more subscribers and has been doing this for 7 years, so he's dealt with a lot of nonsense and it's sort of you put yourself out there. It is what it is, but um, don't be afraid to critique because it is this is a learning experience. We're still only 4 or 5 months in, so I am learning. And do remember, once I'm able to get over to the new camera, the visuals will change a little bit. The one thing I'm aware of as well, I got my nephew and I are trying to figure out when I have the hometown historian, the intro and then outro. For some reason, with the pictures, that's full screen, and then the video it'll do widescreen where it has a little like greenish thing on top and below. I'm still trying to figure that out because I would like the whole thing to be full screen. Supposedly, I guess he was saying there's something there to be able to crop the video so it doesn't do that because I just think it looks sort of stupid and it doesn't fit right. So I got to figure that out yet. But that's probably only going to be an issue as well with the phone. Whereas once I go over to the new camera and I'm doing everything off of my laptop once my internet's fixed, um, with Animotica, that application, same one that Cliff uses, I should be able to fix that a little bit easier because I think it's a little bit easier to do something like that where you have the full access to the full app. Whereas with the U-Cut that I use right now, I'm not using the premium because I really don't want to pay for it because I'm only going to be using it probably for another like 2 weeks at most. Um, so it's a matter of just figuring little stupid things like that out. But audio should get way better. I think even the visuals I'm hoping are going to be even better than they are now because surprisingly this camera has done a pretty darn good job. I was not expecting it because originally I was thinking I wasn't going to be able to start the channel until I bought an actual camera that I got the 1080p and all those different things that would make it look professional, and this has worked out reasonably well. So I did want to let you guys all know I am doing reasonably well. I do have this cough yet. It comes and goes, and I guess I just sort of hit a moment where something catches, and then I'm like, I sound like death. I actually am not. Like I feel reasonably good, and like I said, the feet. It's just a matter of figuring out what I can do and what I can't do. Um, Hopefully, especially once I'm able to get these new shoes, that helps. Wrapping them like I have been doing has really, really helped. It's kept things from getting worse and from anything else happening. And that's something when you're diabetic. And a number of people had said as well, like you're diabetic, it's going to wind out making the healing process last longer, which surprisingly, like shockingly, apparently I heal really, really well because that was one thing they were really surprised with that surgery, how quickly I actually healed. They said they almost healed too quickly because they hadn't taken the sutures out and they would have taken them out a week earlier, which I have no feeling in my left foot. So it's a blessing and a curse. Sometimes you don't realize when you're hurting yourself, but also the amount of pain I probably have. I also would like to try to get myself back on CBD oil. That was something that helped me with my fibromyalgia in the past. So those would be things to help me to cope with this a little bit better. And as I'm getting off of not doing the landscaping, soon it'll be pretty much not at all, and then just figure out what I got to do from here. Hopefully disability comes through, that type of stuff, and then I really want to try to concentrate on my writing and my photography. And I had said about certain ideas of I'd like to do photography books. Like I got to do a bunch of improvement with my photography. I'd like to get the advice of like JP or Jay from JP Videos because I think his photography's phenomenal. I'd like to get advice from Cliff as well because I think especially his nature photography. If you've seen it, it is phenomenal. Like he knows how to catch the moment very, very well. And then my other friend Kurt, I think his photography is phenomenal. Like if I could aspire to be like those guys with their photography, really, really beautiful. Another friend Deb and her husband John, they just went on a trip to New England, and like she does a lot of photography down in Tennessee, nature and just all different type landscape and that type of stuff. But I just always have been impressed by her photography, and I don't know if it's her and her husband or if it's just her, but really, really cool photography. So it's something I admire that people do, and it's just a matter of being cognizant of different things, like trying to keep the wires out of the pictures, and I do well, I think, with the angles, and Kate always compliments me on my black and whites, which that's completely Instagram, not me, but I think it's a part of it is having an eye to figure out this would make a good black and white photo. This would be good with this hue of color. It brings out just a different type of color. It helps as well if you have a really nice blue sky. It gives you more options with your different hues and shades and that type of stuff. Whereas if it's sort of a dark and cloudy day, that'll make a black and white photo a little bit better. And so it just depends on what the angle is and the shading in the black and white. If you hit something just right where the shading uh, it differentiates the picture a little bit better, it sort of gives you a more unique look. And especially if you can give yourself, I think there's one called Perpetua, which gives you like some of the churches, it gives more of a grainier, maybe like like a teens type, like what the photos would look like back then. And then you have your ones where you could have like Civil War era, where these are pictures that you say, okay, this a little clearer than those pictures were back then because the quality of the photography is just of the camera and that type of stuff is so much better. But it has that same look of what you would see a picture from back then. So I like to, if I can match things like that up, it gives it a really unique look. And I just, I'd, I like to do photography books on that, but I'd also like to do one called Seasons, where I take a picture from the same exact angle, like Monroe Valley Chapel, for instance. We did a video there very, very early on. That's one that's really beautiful in all four seasons. If I can find those particular locations where that really, really works, having a coffee table book like that would just be really, really neat. And like I said, eventually, once I'm hoping January ish, somewhere in there, the plan is that I'll have a merch shop then. I'm actually going to have my older niece, Bethany, design sort of the adult merchandise and that type of stuff. Use a couple of the different slogans that seem to be working pretty well for the channel. And then have my younger niece, Ella. She does really, really like this cutesy artwork, which I think is phenomenal. And I tease her all the time. Like, she's like, "Oh, Ella, you're copying." And like, we have a good relationship because we have the same sense of humor, and we're both stinky. So it does work, and we have that in common, and brings us to common ground there. But I think it'd be cool to be able to involve them to be part of that. And eventually I want to have Benny, my older niece Bethany, design the logo for the channel as well, where we'll have the HH or something of that nature for Hometown Historian. I even thought it'd be funny to call, like, people that are viewers the Hometown Homies or something like that. You can have fun with that. And then, like, a lot of people have asked about Patreon. I want to wait until we get there around 800 subscribers, and once I'm really back on my feet, where I can see I can consistently say for like 3 months, be able to put videos out almost every single day, that type of stuff. I mean, winter's going to create its own issues because depending on weather, that type of stuff. But if I'm able to get out on a particular day and get 5 or 6 videos, I can also build up that backup, because that's why Cliff's able to do that all the time, is because he's able to he has a backlog of like 15 to 20 videos. So especially when you have, you're going to have more inclement weather come like winter, you're always going to have something. And if you need to, you can always do it every other day or something like that to make everything last, depending on how harsh winter is, which at this stage it doesn't sound like. I mean, it sounds like December's going to be pretty tame around here in Pennsylvania, but yeah, I think anything we can do to make this channel more inclusive and involve people. So even if you have like with that Pennsylvania historical thing that Colleen had come up with, brilliant idea, Colleen. Uh, if you have stuff in your own state, even if it's a unique story that you'd think would be cool to tell on the channel, send me the idea, send me some pictures, and you know, we'll I'll do my research and then I'll do videos on that as well because I'd like to do things from not just this area, but also be able to do them all around. And like I said, with getting this more documentary style, especially like I want to work with Kurt to come up with what would be a good working plan for once I get into the About a Town series, which that will be the major focal point of the channel. And that's the one we talked about from the get-go that, you know, like for instance, the first town I'm going to do is Annville, which is technically my hometown right now. And it'll be a series of probably 3 videos, a town that side about 3 videos, from the start of the town, dealing with the architecture and the buildings, and now being able to take old pictures and being able to work with it in Annville as well, the historical society there. Uh, they are the historical society there is the Friends of Old Annville, and they have a plethora of pictures. So I'd like to work with the local historical society. Lebanon County Historical Society has already shown a lot of interest with working with me, and I know the other surrounding counties that I'm filming in, you know, be Dauphin, Lancaster, Schuylkill, and Berks. They all have their own historical, like county historical society. It gets them out there. It gets people interested in what they do because they really are the organizations that do, in essence, the dirty work. It's the hard work, the cataloging, the making sure these pictures, these stories, all these different things, the people of the past don't disappear into the past and we lose all that. They make sure that history stays alive. And they make my job of what I'm trying to do, where I'm trying to put this on video and audio, and it makes it a lot easier for me to be able to do my job because instead of having to go to the library or all these different places trying to research and go through all this stuff, a lot of that's available. And it makes it a lot easier to be able to, sorry, to do these things. So with that, I am going to turn this video off, and we'll hopefully I'll have some Pennsylvania Historical Marker Series videos coming up. I want to get that Milton Hershey one done. I'm hoping by the weekend. It just depends on how much I'm working Thursday and Friday. And then maybe some collabs with Cliff and a whole bunch of cool stuff that's going to be coming out. And the channel's got a lot of cool stuff to come. It's been you know, a period of 2 weeks where, you know, everybody was encouraging me and really needed to watch out for my health. And I just sort of hit a point where I was like, I need to just take a step back and a lot of the weather wasn't really good for going out and filming anyways. So ultimately it was the best decision to just sort of take a step back and concentrate on getting, especially with being sick and the cough, that was the major thing that was causing me problems. But doing a lot better. Still stuff there, a little bit of breathing issues, which an inhaler, from having had asthma before and struggled with that, it is one of those things that having an inhaler just to open up the airways, that'll help me from having to cough like I'm going to cough out a lung. So, but thank you once again, everyone. You guys have made this channel awesome. You made this experience awesome. I'm looking forward to many more fun adventures to come. And I normally don't do the vlogs this close together, but it is a way of getting that out there just so everybody knows what's happening, what's upcoming, those types of things. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming out. I look forward to bringing you on the next adventure, and we'll see y'all about town. Thanks, everybody.